Well, Mama V's here, looking exquisite on a Corona day. How are you?
Oh, I'm blessed. I'm good.
Yeah,
How are you?
yeah. Charlie, no be easy. You know, sometimes you keep hearing the cases and etc. I know it's a bit unfortunate, but the thing is, Nigeria has a situation where its officials, even as of last week or 2 weeks ago, decided to travel to the top most infected countries. And these top government officials and senators or governors came, they didn't self-isolate. How they did that, I can still understand.
Yeah.
But that's the
Chief of
African
Staff has
conundrum.
tested positive for the virus, and there are calls for Abuja to be locked down in view of that.
And even Lagos, but the concern is how big Lagos and populated it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that I think most people have been very irresponsible. And we simply thought that this won't get here, because how could you travel, return last week and not self-isolate? I mean, that should be a personal responsibility considering what is happening in the world, really. I mean, I was monitoring the news, and when we get to after my Joy Online, we'll try and see if we can do a quick trip around so that we can appreciate how countries such as Italy is trying to maintain that order in terms of the lockdown, because there are still people who are trying to defy. Now they're having to fly choppers around to check to see if people are still out there. There are people out there carrying the virus and just, going about as if everything is normal.
In Ghana, I was just having a related chat before we came on air with a friend of mine who works with an education charity, almost like a donor-funded charity. They do a lot of, and they work outside Accra, Wellington, Impending, and he was saying that it looks like people just are not taking the precautions in country as they should. People still gather and have a drink together, while we also keep educating that, look, we need to make sure we observe related issues of self-distancing, working away from the office if you can, and use all the tools that are necessary so that you don't tend to aggregate or congregate together.
Absolutely. All right, let's do the newspapers. Let's see what our papers are reporting today in our country. The Daily Graphic newspaper front page, mighty contract COVID-19. It's got pictures of Prince Charles and actor Idris Elba. Nation seeks divine intervention over COVID-19. There's the Most Reverend John Bonaventure Kofi, Archbishop of Accra, and the Reverend Professor Joseph Obri Yeboah Mante, all on the front page of the paper. Voter registration suspended. That's the news from yesterday's IPAC meeting. We know some of the parties also walked out before the meeting even ended. Help arise for COVID-19 battle. Jack Ma fulfills pledge. This was first reported on JoyNews, where we took you live to the Kotoka International Airport, courtesy the head of our health desk, Fred Smith. And Jack Ma has actually donated to almost all the European countries in crisis today, and the US as well. We got our bits yesterday, Ethiopia bringing it down to us. In the center spread of the paper, allow ships to access your ports. UNCTAD makes this appeal. It says the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development has appealed to governments in countries affected by the COVID-19 pandemic to allow commercial ships to have access to their respective ports. According to Secretary General of UNCTAD, it was important to keep the supply chain space open by allowing maritime trade and cross-border transport to thrive, even as efforts were being made to find a cure for the disease. We know our borders have been closed. This includes the sea as well. What we are allowing in our cargo, I don't know if this call, what is being described here, commercial ships, includes what we are allowing in. So we can, do a quick collab with the Ghana Maritime Authority.
Well, there's good reason why cargo should be accepted. And I think that the UNCTAD call is logical, because cargo then, if you look at such vessels, they carry less number of crew. And that also works well in terms of if they have to dock at a port, and then you want to make sure that either they are quarantined or you're able to monitor them health-wise.
We should put this so in the course of this program. Also, UENR Council urged to be nationalistic in outlook. That's the Governing Council of the University of Energy and Natural Resources. MP staff to self-quarantine, not punishment, according to Speaker. And I think a group of people that should understand this language, you know, we shouldn't even have to explain, will be members of parliament. I don't think anybody, is anybody thinking self-quarantine is a form of punishment? That would be unfortunate, especially if it is coming from parliament. Back page of the Daily Graphic, ban on used clothing to be strictly enforced. According to Professor Alex Dodu, the Ghana Standards Authority is with immediate effect going all out to enforce the ban on the sale of second-hand clothing, including bra panties. The Director General of the authority has indicated. Rains in Kumasi, Tamale expose metropolises to waste materials. It's not just Kumasi and Tamale. It's Accra, pretty much a lot of the places, not the entire country, by the way, but certainly Accra as well. Let's do the Ghanaian Times newspaper, front page of the Times. Jack Ma's test kits, PPEs arrive. Government takes delivery of 20,000 test kits, 1,000 PPEs, and 100,000 masks. GMA calls for nationwide lockdown to contain COVID-19. But if you check with a virologist in Kumasi, Mr. Michael Owusu, who says this call is misplaced. Dr. Michael Owusu is a virologist with the Kumasi Center for Research into Tropical Medicine. And he says that this approach is wrong. This approach where the Ghana Medical Association is calling for a nationwide lockdown to contain COVID-19 is wrong. Dr. Awal presents items to constituencies to combat COVID-19. Ghana records 68 cases, one more death. It brings to 4 the deaths that we've recorded. What it is husband of a woman who passed yesterday, we're told overnight, unfortunately also couldn't survive. And that's why the number has shot up to 4. But this is reliably from the head of our health desk. In the center spread, woman 35 nabbed for swindling 30 people. And then, okay, so details of what we received from Jack Ma in our situation in terms of the number of cases that we've recorded. On the back page, rainstorm renders more than 200 residents homeless in Bembela. STMA, that's the Secondary Takoradi Metropolitan Assembly, closed down unfit public toilets and bath houses. Let's do the Daily Statesman. Front page of the Statesman, pressure mounts on government to lock down country. Impending voters registration on hold. EC to come out with new dates. Parliament bans visitors as Speaker orders non-essential staff to go on leave. My last paper is the Business Finder. Front page of the Business Finder. Universal QR code proxy pay launched to enhance digitized payments. Stimulus packages, ICU cautions government. We should just take a look at what's happening in the U.S. Both sides have agreed as a bipartisan stimulus package. They came up with one that has never been heard in the U.S. It's $2 trillion. GCB Bank introduces wallet limits on G-Money service. Okay. COVID-19, Ghana needs 15 billion Ghana cedis for months lockdown. We need 15 billion for a month lockdown. Okay. After you, we'll try and see where these figures are coming from, Roland. I'm done.
Just wondering if we should have a lockdown, how that's possible. I think that we should hasten with some caution. We can do that maybe city by city, try to do that analysis instead of just saying a countrywide lockdown. But that's just me. People live hand to mouth too many times in Ghana.
That's the thing. That's
for you to even do identification, whether it's means testing or so. Yeah. Because there are people who sell a stock of oranges by the day, make 5 cedis, and that's what they use in feeding the rest of the family for the rest of that evening until the next 24 hours, when that lady or somebody else in the family would have to make some money for it. Yeah. And that is our state, okay? And that's the reality.
That's why we talk about homegrown policy. I remember when it has to do with the economy, we're quick to say that. This is also another area because there are things peculiar to us. Other people can afford to. Are you assured that you will have uninterrupted water running through your taps? Can you survive if nothing is moving around? Can you survive? Can we be assured that there's electricity? And I'm even talking about the big things. For some people, these are big things. These are not even the things they're looking for. Roland, don't open that sanitizer. Put it down. Put it down.
And even that speaks volumes about the related issues about how we need to empower those that we have in manufacturing, etc. You see, Casa Preco, they came in with this.
Yeah.
So if we have 10 more of them who could quickly improvise at a time when we need emergencies.
I think I've seen about maybe 5 who have registered with the FDA. I just can't remember their names.
So for example, in the war times, we had Hugo Boss, Coca-Cola Company, etc., providing drinks for soldiers, etc., and even churning out or turning their production lines into gun manufacturing firms, etc., for the war effort in America, in the UK, etc. That is what we call when you have to empower businesses, entrepreneurs to be able to do what they have to do. If we had many of them in our country, we will then call for these donations from them, and they will donate so many times. Now, we have firms that are operating, they have to get approvals from somewhere in the UK or London, in New York, in South Africa, before they come to tell their country companies that, look, okay, maybe donate $1 million. But if it was ours, then we will know that, look, this company A says this is the decision I can't take. Because then that company doesn't need, even though it's an international company, doesn't need to go consult another boss somewhere else. You know, and
the decision can be taken right here.
And that is what we call homegrown policy.
This is a homegrown, this is
homegrown policy.
This is definitely,
we have
this is not their core business.
Zoom Lion helping, we have Tobinco, you know, we need many of them.
There's Dana Dams, there's Kena Pharma also producing, actually.
There's one on the Spinters Road, for example. You know, Dana Dams, and we need more of them.
We just don't have enough of them. We don't have enough of them.
We have to deliver.
I know NS Chemist is also producing the sanitizer.
Anyway, so let's go to the Daily Guide. Daily Guide has on the front page, lockdown now. Doctors urge Nana COVID-19 infects 68, 3 dead. Medical supplies arrive. And also on the front page, well, COVID-19 compelling institutions to take drastic decisions. The Electoral Commission, adamant until now, says it is postponing new register dates. The thing is, the big countries haven't even recovered yet to come and help us. So we'll see how it goes. Ex-NCA board member discharged from a court case. Up there, we have Parliament tell staff to go home. Way to go. Don't know why they were meeting. They need to do virtual meetings. I mean, that's the reality of the times.
I think it's also exposed how very little we do with digitization. I mean, we hear it being spoken, but we don't practice it. That's why we're also here. Because you know, is it the G7, G20? There's
G20.
a meeting, G20.
They're meeting
and it's
today.
they're not physically meeting in one room.
They won't.
They're not.
They won't even try it. Because taking a flight is so dangerous to any of them. They don't know whether it's the cabin crew, the pilot, etc. who could be infected. Or they themselves could infect somebody else, as a whole point. But they're meeting because they're in trouble, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, when you're in trouble, that's where leadership matters the most. You have to take strong decisions.
I agree. Let's go to the back page of the Daily Guide. Has the stories, Zachariason is blasting the management of Kotoko. Has an inserted picture of Yetel Zachariason. Messi, Pep fight COVID-19. Down there, Ronaldo better than Messi, but I am the best. And the good old
The
Pelé.
best in what? Advocacy or fundraising? What are they talking about now?
They're talking football. Talking football. With the one with the best skills. And the thing about Pelé is that television and the internet and technology was not widespread. So information flow about his footballing skills could only be gotten today from old videos. But I'm thinking if he also had the same regime of the way the footballers train, have enough rest, etc. Because even the rules of football at the time were different.
Roland is better than a call, but I am the best.
Let's go to the Dispatch. The Dispatch is mirroring what is happening on the front pages of many of the newspapers. So the Dispatch says EC postpones new voter exercise. Front page of the Dispatch. We also do have Eastern housing conditions in Upper West, East and Bono half regions. Dr. Stella Kufuado declared nationwide lockdown, even though there's a virologist who has distanced himself from this. Says, look, we need to hasten with some caution. Social distancing in COVID-19 battle. Trotros to carry 2 per roll. And that's what we need as far as the decisions that need to be taken. Let's go to the Business and Financial Times. This is how the front page looks like. Together we shall weather the storm. And Baumia says time to push digital transactions is now okay. Dr. Lawal, meanwhile, is supporting 7 constituencies in COVID-19 fight, and banks will remain cautious despite NPLs declining non-performing loans. Mamavi.
Yes.
I'm being told you virtually want to go to Spain.
I do want to go to Spain. I mean, it's really disturbing what's happening there. We want to give you a bit of understanding because in terms of the numbers recorded, the deaths recorded, we're told that Spain has surpassed China. Also, the WHO boss also spoke. This is his latest speech. We want to bring them these 2 events coming to you, and then we'll give you a wrap of what's happening in the U.S. So here we go with the situation in Spain. Mr. Gabriel is there. That's the WHO head. So I guess for those of us, we've been playing with should we lock down, should we not lock down? That's the World Health Organization with very important key points for countries that have recorded less than 100 or 100 cases right there. There's not much we can add.
And we have to conclude by saying that if you look at what the state of the World Health Organization's commentary has been and the directive, it has been changing almost every week since January. And if you look at the communication also, for example, on our part, from the Minister for Information especially, through to the Ghana Health Service, the Ministry of Information, they've also reiterated that and said they keep changing the guidelines, so we also change accordingly. And I'm hoping that they'll take the right decisions on our behalf. Okay,
so for those of you who keep asking for the sanitizer, I've got a number for you to text. If you want some of the sanitizer. It's 020-910-4551. 020-910-4551. If you're looking and you aren't getting, kindly text this number. We'll bring you sports. There's a big decision to be made in the world of tennis as well sometime next week. Benedict will bring us all the big conversations happening in the world of sports.